Hello, story lovers, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a tale that's utterly hilarious and wonderfully heartwarming. Get ready to meet the most extraordinary cow you've ever heard of. In a small, quiet village nestled among rolling green fields lived a little girl named Lila. She lived with her father on a cozy little farm, a place filled with sunshine and the sweet smell of hay. Lila's very best friend in the whole wide world wasn't another kid from the village. It was Lulu, the farm's prize-winning cow. Lulu wasn't just any cow. She was cheerful, she was hardworking, and she was the absolute pride of the entire village. Why? Because every single morning, without fail, Lulu provided the freshest, most delicious milk you could imagine. The villagers would line up, buckets in hand, ready for their daily dose of creamy goodness. And every single day, after filling the last bucket, little Lila would give Lulu a big, warm hug, her bright eyes sparkling with gratitude. She'd pat Lulu's soft side and say, "Thank you, Lulu, you're the best cow ever." And Lulu would just give a happy little moo, as if to say, "You're welcome, my friend." Their bond was special, a perfect picture of farm life harmony. But one bright, sunny morning, something was different. The air was still, a little too quiet. Lila woke up, stretched, and skipped down to the barn as she always did, ready to greet her best friend. But as she approached, she saw something very strange hanging on the big red barn door. It was a piece of paper, a note scrawled with big, clumsy letters. Lila leaned in closer, her brow furrowed in confusion. The note read, "I'm Lulu, no milk today. I'm on vacation." Lila blinked, she read it again, and a third time. Her jaw dropped. A cow that writes notes. She whispered in disbelief. A million questions raced through her mind. A vacation? Where would a cow go on vacation? And how did she write a note? Shaking her head, she pushed the barn door open and rushed inside, her heart pounding with a mix of worrying and sheer astonishment. And then she froze. The sight before her was so bizarre, so completely unbelievable, that for a moment she thought she was still dreaming. There, in the middle of the barn, was Lulu, but not the Lulu she knew. This Lulu was sitting comfortably on a sturdy wooden chair, propped up like a king, or rather, a queen. She was wearing a pair of stylish, oversized sunglasses, perched perfectly on her nose. And in her hoof, yes, her hoof, she was holding a tall glass of bright orange fruit juice, sipping it casually through a long, curly straw. The silence was broken by the slurping sound from the straw. Lulu slowly lowered her sunglasses, peering over the top of the frames at a gobsmacked Lila. With an air of complete calm and total nonchalance, Lulu said, in a voice that was surprisingly eloquent, "Even cows need a break, my dear." Lila just stood there, her mouth hanging open, unable to form a single word. A cow, talking, and demanding a vacation. This was definitely not a normal day on the farm. Just as Lila was trying to process this surreal scene, a cheerful, upbeat tune started playing from a small radio perched on a hay bale. And then the real show began. Lulu, with all the grace of a seasoned spa-goer, kicked off her imaginary shoes and sauntered over to her favorite patch of mud. She began to gracefully apply the mud all over herself, humming along to the music. It was her very own mud spa session. And what does one do while enjoying a spa day? Read, of course. Lulu picked up a glossy magazine that was lying nearby. Lila squinted to read the title. It was Cow Fashion Weekly 2025. She could see pictures of cows modeling the latest in bellwear and hoof-cures. This was beyond belief. Word of the vacationing cow spread through the village like wildfire. Soon, a small crowd had gathered at the barn door, peeking in, whispering, and pointing. Some were covering their mouths to stifle their laughter, while others were shaking their heads in complete bewilderment. "Did you ever see such a thing?" one farmer whispered to his wife. "That cow's living a better life than us." Another villager, a pragmatic old woman, chimed in with a worried tone. "This is all fun and games now, but if all our cows start taking vacations, we're doomed. No milk, no cheese, no butter." The crowd murmured in agreement, a wave of nervous laughter mixed with genuine concern rippling through them. Days started to pass, and the rhythm of the farm was completely thrown off. The cheerful mornings filled with the sound of Lulu's happy mooing and the clanking of milk pails were gone. The air felt empty. The barn, once a place of bustling activity, was now eerily quiet, save for the occasional pop tune coming from Lulu's radio. There was no laughter from the children who used to come and watch Lulu, and most of all, there was no fresh, creamy milk. The farm just wasn't the same. One afternoon, Lila couldn't take the silence anymore. She missed her friend. She walked into the barn and sat down on a hay bale right beside Lulu, who was now meticulously applying cucumber slices to her eyes. Lila let out a long, heavy sigh. "It's just so quiet without you, Lulu," she said softly, her voice filled with sadness. "The farm just isn't the same. I miss you." Lulu paused her spa treatment. She took the cucumbers off her eyes and looked at Lila. She saw the genuine sadness in her little friend's face. For the first time since her vacation started, Lulu's confident expression softened into a gentle smile. She nudged Lila with her head. "All right," Lulu said, her voice warm and kind. "I'll come back." Lila's face lit up with a huge, hopeful smile. "Really?" Lulu nodded. "Really?" she confirmed. Then she winked, a mischievous twinkle returning to her eye, but only after one last mud mask. Lila giggled, a sound that hadn't been heard on the farm for days. She threw her arms around Lulu's neck in a tight hug. Her best friend was coming back. The very next morning, the familiar, happy sounds returned to the farm. The villagers gathered, their buckets ready, their faces full of anticipation. And there was Lulu, back in her stall, looking refreshed, radiant, and ready to work. She gave a happy moo, and the milking began. But when the first person tasted the milk, their eyes went wide with surprise. "Whoa, what is this?" they exclaimed. Everyone rushed to have a sip. The milk was as creamy and fresh as ever, but now it had a new, delightful hint of sweetness. It tasted like vanilla. A sweet, exotic vacation. Why vanilla? The whole village cheered. Lulu hadn't just returned. She had returned with a new, magical recipe. The farm was back in business, bigger and better than ever. They immediately started bottling the unique milk under a brand new name, a name that captured the spirit of their favorite cow, Lulu's Milk, the taste of vacation. It was a massive success. People came from neighboring towns just to try the famous vanilla-flavored milk from the cow who took a holiday. The farm prospered, Lila and Lulu were happier than ever, and a new lesson was learned. Everyone, even a hard-working cow, deserves a little break now and then. But the story doesn't quite end there. That evening, as everyone celebrated their newfound success, Lulu, with a sly grin, quietly slipped a small, folded piece of paper under a pile of hay in her stall. Later that night, long after the celebrations had ended, the curious farm cat discovered the note. It had another message scrawled in that familiar, clumsy handwriting. The note read, "Next trip, Paris," followed by a little drawing of a cow and an airplane. And that's the story of Lulu, the vacationing cow. I hope it brought a smile to your face. If you enjoyed this tale, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more fun stories every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.